Welcome to Inside Athletic Training, a podcast from the Professional Baseball Athletic Trainers Society, where Major League and Minor League athletic trainers share insight into athletic training at the highest level. This week on Inside Athletic Training, we welcome in Theresa Lau, Major League Assistant Athletic Trainer and Physical Therapist for the Milwaukee Brewers. Enjoy the show. All right, Theresa, welcome to Inside Athletic Training. We are happy to have you on for our 27th episode of the show. As many of our listeners know at this point, we start each episode by asking our guests to share a bit of their thoughts and feelings about the Professional Baseball Athletic Trainers Society, also known as PBATS, and kind of what the society has meant to you throughout your career.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me and everything you've been doing with the society, especially this podcast. I know it's grown and hit off the ground pretty fast, so it's really exciting for the society. What Professional Baseball Athletic Training Society is, everyone in baseball kind of knows what we're about. It's about growth mindset, learning from each other, getting on the same page. We're all 30 different teams. So trying to get everyone on the same page to have a, same mindset with the professional sports in general is very important. So I think for me, that has been a key mindset for the society. And also, as a student, I remember going back and looking at society and looking through the bios and looking through, job hires. So it was a huge help as a student as well, trying to go through the process of getting my foot in the door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always been helpful for the athletic training students looking to learn more about you all and what you do during the day and where you came from and your background. And I think that's a big benefit of the show as well. And Theresa, you're currently in your third season as an athletic trainer and physical therapist with the Milwaukee Brewers. You joined the organization in 2018. We will get into your job and your career path and a lot of those interesting details later. But first, I'd like to share some basic information about your background and what paths led you to where you are today. So share with the listeners a bit about that. Where are you from? Were you into sports growing up? And also where you found your passion for athletic training and physical therapy?
Yeah, I grew up in a small town in New Jersey. Played sports, played soccer and softball. Really had a competitive mindset from the beginning, just being playing sports all the time. And that was kind of led me to my passion about sports and that environment. And then it kind of grew from there when I was applying to schools of what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to be in sports. I enjoyed helping people. So I kind of went through the route of athletic training, and physical therapy was kind of the thing for me.
Mm-hmm. And touching more on the educational aspect, you have a lot of experience in that realm. You graduated from Ithaca College, your dual-credentialed in athletic training and physical therapy, also have your master's degree from Grand Canyon University. I know education must be very important to you and to many athletic trainers we've spoken with on the show. So I want to start by asking you what you thought were the key takeaways from your college and your master's degree experience that kind of have allowed you to really make your mark in athletic training and physical therapy. Was it hands-on experience, working with players under your care? Was it learning from mentors or textbooks and your professors? What did you really gain most from while studying in college?
Yeah, all of the above. Ithaca does a great job submerging their students into experience. They have awesome teachers and mentors who are always pumping out articles, challenging, getting to students to challenge each other, having the older students, the juniors and seniors, kind of take the sophomores under their arms. So I think the program itself at Ithaca has done a great job developing students to become good athletic trainers, entry level. And from there, it's just, internships, outside of school. We learn the basic knowledge of what we do in school, but then it's just your own experiences and learning more from different professionals and mentors that we meet in the real world. And then I got my health psychology degree recently from Grand Canyon University. And that I found when I was working as a physical therapist in the minor leagues, that was a challenging part for me, was the mental side, the component of it, the psychological side that these athletes go through, not even just from being hurt. That adds another layer on the psychological component, but just the grind of competing every day, can weigh on them. So I found that psychological piece was missing for me. So that's why I went back to school to try to learn more of how I could help these guys succeed at the best that they could.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I know we spoke with a couple of people, Todd Tomzik specifically, who kind of mentioned that the role of an athletic trainer and a physical therapist in that training room has, kind of morphed into not necessarily a psychologist, but really someone the players can talk to. Have you found that over the course of your time with the Brewers that you build that trust and it kind of is a safe place for the players to kind of talk to the athletic trainers about what's going on? Absolutely.
It starts with trust. We're in the service industry and we're here for them. Even though, we strive to get to, a professional level, we also have to realize that we're here for the athletes to try to create the best environment and culture for them to thrive and succeed, because ultimately at the end of the day, they're the ones on the field and who's going to win us a championship. So I think creating that safe space in the athletic training room and that healthy environment where they can be free and maybe sometimes not think about baseball is really important. So we've kind of molded into that mindset.
Mm-hmm. And with your wide-ranging experience in baseball, this is something I'm super excited to talk to you about with your knowledge as a dual-credentialed athletic trainer and physical therapist. I'm sure each stop of the way, through the minor leagues was meaningful to you, but also different with your two credentials. Can you talk about what it's like getting into baseball as a beginner, after college and internships and kind of the path you took through the minor leagues to get to the big leagues? I know you were with the Red Sox. You spent time in the Brewers organization as the rehab director and as a minor league physical therapist. So, share with the listeners a bit overall what the minor league experience meant to you in your career.
Sure. Well, I'll say even before then, it was about getting an internship. Everyone has told me once you get your foot in your door, then you're good. You just don't mess it up. Yeah. And then, right. And then once you get that internship, that year-long or season-long internship is your interview. So that was my mindset. And I knew going through school that the dual credentials would help me, because professional sports has always been my professional goal. And when I would look up medical directors, head athletic trainers, a lot of them were athletic trainers and physical therapists. So I knew that was a good direction trajectory for me. Mm-hmm. And then I, with help of a lot of cold calling, cold emails, I got an internship with the Red Sox in 2017, which really opened my eyes to what medical baseball is. It really is a niche with overhead athletes and, soft tissue injuries and, mm-hmm. Even acute injuries. And that season has really taught me. I still use, some skills that I've learned that first year today. It was for the help of a lot of the people who were there, Brandon Henry, who was the coordinator at the time, David Herrera, who was the Latin American coordinator at the time. Now they're all at the major league level with the Red Sox. So they kind of helped me understand what medical baseball is. Mm-hmm. And then from there, next year, I got a job with the Milwaukee Brewers and kind of just grew with our organization here. And I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunities that I've been given.
Yeah. And it's interesting to, hear your background information on, the reasons for the dual credentials and as those become more popular, it's interesting to learn more about the roles. Specifically, when you think about the skill sets between a physical therapist and athletic trainer, I know we had Brett Walker on, who's in the same position as you with the White Sox. And he mentioned, the skills are very similar. There's slight differences. I'm wondering from your perspective and to get your opinion, major similarities, major differences between the skill sets of physical therapists and athletic trainers. Do you find that there is a big difference or most things are the same?
Yeah, I think it's both. I'd say there are some differences, but they're also one-on-one. I don't see myself as like a athletic trainer first or a physical therapist first. I see myself as a clinician, and I just have my mindset and skill sets maybe a little bit different than someone who is a athletic trainer, who is a physical therapist. I kind of just think in a little bit of both roles. I would say the biggest difference in professional baseball, I've noticed that, especially at the major league level, that physical therapists are becoming more valued because of the rehab aspect. And athletic trainers kind of gravitate more towards the day on day of keeping the players who are on the field healthy to do their job every single day, which is not easy to do. Whereas physical therapists, they'll take post-surgical guys through the rehab process from the start to the finish. So it does have its differences, but we all work together. So it doesn't, what we do, our organization, we don't really define roles. We use our strengths. Whoever works best and gravitates best with the athlete, and whoever can get through to the athlete the most will work with that athlete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really like how you described it earlier as you're in the service industry. You're providing a service to the athletes to get them on the field and keep them on the field. And speaking of that value added that you mentioned about the physical therapist aspect, going back to when you were getting into the game, do you think that gave you a little bit of an advantage early on in your career when you were searching for jobs and making those cold calls and really grinding your way to actually get into baseball, the fact that you had both skill sets?
Absolutely. When I first got into baseball with the Red Sox, it wasn't a physical therapy internship. It was an athletic training internship. A lot of the internships that PBATs have and teams have are a lot of athletic training internships. So I was thankful to get my foot in the door, but then, also having that background, physical therapy background, kind of give you a little bit more responsibility, or they kind of like taught me more like, okay, you know how to do a lot of this. So like, let's take that and grow with it and run with it. So it's definitely helped for where I am today. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And as someone in your position, who's fills multiple roles on an athletic training staff, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on the kind of the growth of the sports medicine staffs over the years. Obviously, you mentioned the Red Sox. They have one of the larger staffs across the league, and all staffs have really grown. No longer are there two people, a head and an assistant athletic trainer doing everything. It's a lot more that goes into it today, and there's more resources necessary. Now you might see staffs with 5, 6, 7 members. What does that mean to you when you see the growth of just the sports medicine and healthcare staffs at each individual club?
Yeah, I think professional sports in general is growing and realizing that these athletes, they need a team behind them to take care of their bodies, to help them eat healthy, to have mental skills coach on site. It really does take a team to get these guys ready to complete a full season, because it's not easy to complete, play every day at their best ability. So I think teams are realizing that, and, better that people can help them, the more that successful they'll be on the field. So I think that's why the medical staffs have grown over the years, because we're being utilized. It's a big job. So like the more help that we can get on our side, the better we can help the team. So I think it's great that we're growing as a medical staff. I think that we're as in baseball, we're even a little bit behind other sports, because other sports also have like 5-man, 6-man crew with them traveling with the team. But I think we're getting there. We're realizing that we can be, a big difference maker in winning games.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most unique things about the athletic training profession. Not only are you guys actually in the dugout with people who are actually playing the game, but you really do have an impact on winning and losing, which is really tough to say about anyone in the entire organization besides the players and the coaches and the managers. So that's super interesting. And shifting gears a bit now, you've been in baseball for a long time, very experienced, like we've said, dual-credentialed. I'm wondering what advice, a lot of our listeners are students, what advice you'd provide to college students who are maybe, coming up on their senior year, looking to get into athletic training or physical therapy and for professional baseball. What are some best tips? You mentioned cold calling and really just grinding through trying to get in contact with people. But what would you say is the best way to go about it for students these days?
I think students, your job is first and foremost is to be a student, and now is your time to take in things that you might not get the opportunity to do after you graduate. I think a lot of students right now are focused on getting certifications in PRI, Grafton, dry needling, whereas those tools and different niches are really just tools. I think as a student, you should just really focus on knowing your anatomy, biomechanics, and physiology, and get really good at your anatomy, and don't get outside, don't get too broad as a student. Don't let your mind wander as a student. And then, always have a growth forward mindset. You stay humble, have a growth mindset, and be energized to learn, ask questions. And then once you're fortunate enough to get that opportunity for an internship, that's, like I said, it's a year-long interview. So that's your time to put in the work. You're your intern. You're there to learn. You're there to provide help. You're there as an extra set of hands. So I think that piece, I hope so, isn't going away. I hope that it's been hard to find associates or part-time new grads to want to do the internship level, because it doesn't pay very well, but you gain the experience and opportunity. So I think first, once you get that position, understanding what you're getting into, and if baseball and professional sports is for you, is important to know and understand in that role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we spoke with your colleague Dave Yeager, assistant athletic trainer with the Brewers, a couple weeks ago, and he's extremely passionate about education himself and manages the internship program for PBATS. And we spoke a bit with Dave about the need for young athletic trainers to maybe step away from the textbooks at time and get some hands-on experience and be willing to kind of get in the mud and do that internship. So it's really interesting to hear you say the same. And to add on to that same topic, when you all are hiring, associates or interns for the Brewers, is there a specific personality trait, maybe an educational accomplishment, hands-on skill set that you guys look for in particular, or is it really kind of a complete package of everything?
We like to see students who's done a little bit of everything in school, who's done some research, who's been interested in sports and professional sports, whose end goal is, to be in baseball. And then just, like I said, have a growth mindset and willing to learn, and understanding that this is going to be, a lot of time and work. So just the willing to learn and have a growth mindset. I think that is the most important, because, during that internship, your skill set, we'll teach you what you need to learn, but it's are you willing to learn? Are you humble enough to learn? And can you offer something different to the team as well?
And then one person to talk more about the Brewers staff or some people you've worked with in the past, one person who I think a lot of people have learned a lot from is your former colleague, I would say an icon in Milwaukee with the Brewers, is Roger Kaplinger, who recently retired from the Brewers after a great career. I'm sure his impact is felt each and every day in the athletic training room. I'm wondering, from your perspective as someone who got to spend a bit of time with Roger, what he meant to you, what he meant to the athletic training staff, and just the profession overall in the city of Milwaukee.
Yeah, Roger is a huge mentor for me. He's great for, Milwaukee, not even as our medical department, but the Brewers organization itself. He's been a huge advocate of, promoting good medical care, and he expects nothing but the best, and he doesn't accept any mediocrity. He pushes us and challenges us. And even though he retired last season, but he'll still come in every now and then. But now he's in his golf t-shirts, his golf polos, and he'll come in and shoot the shit with us just for a little bit. And he actually just took a summer vacation to Italy, which is awesome for him to see how much he worked and how hard and dedicated how hard work he put into this team and this profession. To see how he's doing now in retirement is really, really happy for him, because he's really done so much for the organization and myself. So he's been a great asset, and I know he always will be for the Brewers. So. And Milwaukee,
of course.
Yeah. so many connect. He knows everyone in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and Roger was pretty instrumental in PBAT's relationship with Commissioner Seelig, and obviously that's been a huge help to kind of showing the value of PBATs and you all as members and athletic trainers. So we all owe a ton to Roger. One other topic I'd love to touch on with you is a couple of months ago, we spoke to Amanda Lee with the Seattle Mariners about her road to professional baseball as a woman in a largely male-dominated profession right now. Things are obviously trending in a great direction. So many more women in athletic training and having huge roles with clubs. I'm wondering, from your perspective, have you found that the road into baseball was seemingly a bit more difficult for you as an athletic trainer? Or do you think, at this day and age, things are pretty much equal?
I wouldn't say more difficult. I would say I had more challenges than some of my colleagues. But I knew that going in to professional baseball, and a lot of the, not having a locker or having to change in the umpire's locker room. I kind of knew that it didn't bother me. I was there to do good work and to help the players and be there for the players. The stuff on the side didn't really bother me, because, facilities in the minor leagues, all of them aren't the best. That's just minor leagues, not sure. Really, female or woman specific. The facilities are getting better and they're improving, especially the spring training facilities. We just built a new complex in Arizona in 2019, and we have a women's locker room who held 10 lockers, and we outgrown that in 3 years. So, which is awesome. So we just rebuilt another women's locker room that'll hold 25 lockers. So I think we're growing, and I think the biggest thing is to realize, we're women in sports, professional sports, and we have an additional responsibility that we carry, and realizing that we might be a little bit under the magnifying glass, and realizing the industry, we're growing, and we can't really complain about stuff that may or may not be fair in our eyes. And just as long as the job's getting done, we're there for the players. That's what's important, and to stay together too. I have a good friend, Sarah Goodrum, who is the director of player development in the Houston Astros organization. She used to be with the Brewers. Her and I, we chat all the time. I think it's important to have those people that you lean on who's in your circle to chat. And I think, as women in sports, we need to stick together and continue to help the industry grow and catch up to the rest of the world.
And you mentioned Sarah, who used to be with the Brewers, now with the Astros, as a friend of yours and a colleague and someone you could bounce ideas off of in a similar situation and career as you. Did you have other mentors or women in athletic training who kind of had information to share with you when you were coming up, or people you looked up to when you were kind of coming through the ranks?
Yeah. Nancy Patterson Flynn, she's actually a Ithaca alumni, and she was the first female athletic trainer in the major leagues with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I had spoken to her when I was a student, and she was still with the Dodgers. She's no longer in professional baseball, but we chat all the time. She works in a little bit on the side with some baseball, but we chat all the time. She gave me some tips. Also, I've gotten close to Nikki Huffman, who was the head athletic trainer physical therapist for the Blue Jays a couple years ago. And same thing, we chat all the time, bounce ideas off each other, share stories. So I think having those support systems has really helped me in the day to day and throughout the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a chance to meet Nikki and Nancy and also Sue Falsone when they were all with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, and just very talented athletic trainers. And obviously, like you said, if the work's getting done, that's all that should matter. And I think baseball and the field of athletic training does a great job of giving a person a chance to work if they can do the work, and that's awesome to see the growth there. Looking at, again, the college aspect and students coming up, do you have any different advice for women in college who are looking to get an athletic training compared to just the general population, or would you kind of provide the same advice for everybody?
I would provide the same advice for everybody. Absolutely. I would just, encourage women who do want to get into sports to realize that there will be challenges ahead, and sometimes there's a right way to go about those challenges. And sometimes, for the industry, if we see that something's unfair or unfit, like it might be something that we think about and process and reflect on rather than reacting to a situation. We've had that before, and normally doesn't go well when people in general react to situations rather than trying to handle it the right way. So I think there's definitely challenges in baseball, whether female or male, but I think just, being professional first and foremost is the most important thing for the industry.
Yeah, that's great advice for all athletic trainers and students, and good to hear your insight there. Moving on to a different topic of team success and how that impacts your job as an athletic trainer. As many of our listeners will know, and baseball fans, you guys, the Brewers, are on a bit of a roll right now, leading the NL Central as of today. And you've had a lot of success in Milwaukee since you've been with the club. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, do you notice a difference in the attitudes in the training room, both of maybe your staff and the players, when working for a team that's kind of in the playoff hunt and in the mix right now versus working for a non-contending team that might be in a rebuilding situation?
Well, this is my third season with the Major League Club, and every year we've been contenders. So don't really know what it's like to be non-contenders. So I've been super fortunate there. But we just keep it light. We realize when the players are having fun and, not some added pressure that helps them perform at their best. And we just like to keep it light, make jokes, whether, we're during the playoffs or not. We know everyone knows what's on the line. Everyone's there to compete, but at the end of the day, it's a game. And I think, just keeping the light, having fun, being a team, connecting with each other, pushing each other. I think that's what we do in the athletic training room for our players.
Mm-hmm. And part of keeping it light and just having a good time is obviously the people who you get to work with every day. I mentioned Dave Yeager, who was a guest on the podcast, longtime assistant with the Brewers. Scott Behringer, who's the head athletic trainer there, a great guy, does a wonderful job. I want to give you some time now to kind of recognize some of those people in Milwaukee in the athletic training room and part of your staff who you get to work with every day.
Yeah, you mentioned Scott Behringer and Dave Yeager, and we talked about Roger Kaplinger already. So they've all been very great to work with, taught me a lot. Couldn't thank them enough. And then also our medical director, Blair Bundy, who we've worked really closely together in the minor leagues. He's a physical therapist as well. And Nick Jensen, who's our minor league coordinator, Bryn Hester, who's our rehab coordinator, Frank Neville, who's also our minor league admin director. So there's countless number of people in the organization, and even coaches that I work with today, day to day, Craig Counsell and Pat Murphy, our bench coach. They're so good at their job, and watching them work and watching them put together a team and head the ship and set a same goal and be relentless of what we do day in, day out is really fun to watch. So I've learned a lot from them too. So the whole organization in general is just really growing. This is my sixth year here, and we've grown a ton. So I'm really fortunate for everything that the Brewers have helped me with, and I'm excited to keep contributing to our success here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think just like you said, the hard work and the determination from the staff and the coaches kind of embodies the entire city and kind of how the motto of Milwaukee is. So it's awesome to see. Well, Theresa, I really appreciate you joining the show. It's been great talking with you. To wrap up today's episode, we're going to finish with a quick Q&A segment that we call Extra Bases. So I will ask you 4 quick questions and let you share some insight with the listeners about your favorite things in athletic training and baseball. So we'll kick it off at first base. What is your favorite athletic training room outside of your home room in Milwaukee to work in the big leagues?
I like the extra bases. I like first base, second base, third base. Really clever. Atlanta. I would say Atlanta. There's lots of space. The facilities are nice. The clubhouses are nice for the players. I'd say Atlanta, even though it gets really hot in the summer, the clubhouses is nice. Yeah,
I think, I've said this a million times, I feel like, but I would say 1 of every 2 of our guests says Atlanta. So whatever the engineers did down there and the architects and George and his staff, they did it right. So people should probably take note of what they're doing down there. I think the space thing is what people love about that so far. So moving on to second base, one of the coolest parts of your job from a fan's perspective is, you are one of the only people outside of the players, coaches, and managers who are actually in the dugout for the game. So I'm wondering what your favorite big league stadium to watch a game from the dugout is.
Citi Field. I grew up a Mets fan. Lived close to Queens. My dad's a Mets fan. So I remember watching Mets games from way up top in the 4th deck, buying $15 tickets. And then I remember the first time being in the dugout in Citi Field was really special to me. So every time we go there, they have a really nice clubhouse too, the Mets do. Every time that's where I get like the warm and fuzzy feelings of like the holy crap moment. Like I'm a and even like the in-game stuff, like in the songs, they'll still play the same songs that I remember going to Mets games. So that's really special to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess that's what baseball's all about. It's like those childhood memories. So, moving on to third base, this might be an obvious answer. We'll see. But what's your favorite city to visit on the road?
This one is San Diego. Being by the beach, by the water. I have friends out there. Good food, tacos. I always enjoy going to San Diego.
Yeah, and you can't beat knowing it's going to be 65 degrees and sunny every single day as well. So that doesn't hurt.
Exactly. You always have a smile on when you go.
Oh yeah, of course. So moving on to home plate. Last question of the show today. We've had a lot of cool answers to this question. Really awesome to hear kind of insight from many different people in athletic training. But when you got to the big leagues with the Brewers, did you at some point, maybe it's opening day or anything like that, did you at some point have a welcome to Major League Baseball moment?
Multiple. So opening day was special. We opened at the Cubs, and I remember one of the coaches there was like, sink it in. The photographer, he would egg her on and be like, make sure you take pictures of Theresa. Opening, and then, realizing like, hey, I didn't get here alone, and all the people who supported me, my family and friends to get to that point. And then going to, each stadium for the first time, I would walk the warning track and kind of just sink it in. So a lot of the whole season. Oh, and we clinched the division. So that was a big win. Just special feeling, like the champagne showers in the clubhouse. That was huge moment.
Yeah, you can't beat winning. I think every athletic trainer will say when the team's in the mix and chasing a championship, there's nothing better than being part of that. So that's awesome to hear from you as well.
There's one more thing. Funny story. Once we clinched, I walked past, we champagne showers drenched, and I walked past the training room, and Dave Yeagers has a Gatorade towel on the floor of the training room and just sitting there alone. I walked past, I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, you got to take it in. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. So I sat down right next to him, and we just soaked it in the moment. So
that's cool. Awesome. And Dave's such sentimental guy and one of the nicest guys I've ever met in baseball, and working with you all for, over a decade now. So I can definitely see him doing something like that. So it's great to hear, you guys got to enjoy it. You work hard, so you deserve it. Well, Theresa, we really appreciate you joining the show. Also appreciate your dedication to PBATs and the profession of athletic training. And we wish you, Scott, Dave, the rest of the crew in Milwaukee, nothing but the best of luck throughout the rest of the season.
Awesome, Sam. I had a great time. Thank you.
And that wraps up this episode. Thank you for listening to Inside Athletic Training, a podcast from the Professional Baseball Athletic Trainers Society, a show for athletic training students, educators, and professionals who want to learn more about life as an athletic trainer in major and minor league baseball. If you've enjoyed the show, head over to pbats.com to gain access to other free resources. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, thanks again for listening.